welcome to a Word Hole Media presentation of Major League A-Holes. I'm Pete.
I'm Ryan. You're in the hole with Major League A-Holes, episode 169, I believe.
Oh, fuck. I already fucked up. We're going to do it over.
What happened?
Let me redo the intro. What
happened? Okay.
I'm
going to leave this all in, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, how's everyone doing out there? Welcome to a Word Hole Media presentation. I'm MVP.
That's right. You skipped the name of the show, though, to get to your MVP.
I did?
I think so.
Didn't I say Major League A-Holes?
Oh, maybe you didn't say Word Hole Media. Maybe that's what threw me off.
Oh, yeah. All right. Third take. Here we go. Hey, how's everyone doing out there? Welcome to a Word Hole Media presentation of Major League A-Holes. I'm MVP.
I'm Ryan, and I think you did say it right the first time, but I'm just, I may have blacked out.
Maybe you're drunk.
Yeah. I am on my second beer on this thirsty Monday. Apparently, it's been a weird day. Yeah, there's a severe thunderstorm warning going on here, by the way, so this could cut out at any moment.
You worry too much.
We'll see how this episode 169 goes. We have a World Series preview series to talk about over the weekend with the Cubs and the Tigers in Detroit. We've got the Tigers in Chicago playing your White Sox. We got to finish up that series. Last episode we were 2 games into that 4-game series, so we'll give our synopsis of that dramatic conclusion to that series. We've got plenty of Sox news as per usual. There's always something going on with your White Sox.
Red hot, baby, red hot.
No. Outside of that, there's plenty of news going on with the future of your ownership that we need to talk about. Apparently, you have some giant shit to talk about.
I sure do. Speaking of red hot.
Yeah, I just ate my dinner way too fast, so I might have to take a giant shit shortly. So this might be a quick show. So we will, I guess we might as well go ahead and jump into the news.
If you can handle it. I mean,
we'll see.
Jesus. Might have to get you a porta potty in there so you can just do the show.
That's the way to podcast right there, right in the porta potty. You don't have to break stride. Just take a dump whenever you need to.
Just hit that mute button for the plops, you know?
I'm actually having trouble with the mute button tonight, so I don't know if that would even work, but sorry, folks.
All right, anyway.
Yeah. Well, the Tigers versus Cubs series this weekend lived up to the billing. A World Series preview, as many were calling it. Fantastic series, worked out very well for my Tigers as opposed to my Cubs. Game 1, Tarek Skubal game, of course, on Apple TV Plus, which was probably frustrating for some people. I was easily able to subscribe, although the price went up. I thought it was $7 a month. It's now $10 a month.
Oh, I don't even know. I've got it all in like a package, like a family plan because of my children. It's just all wrapped up into one bundle.
Okay. Are you all right over there? So I did notice they planned it perfectly, so I have to subscribe for 2 months now because July 4th is Cardinals Cubs, and then July 11th, just over the 1 month marker, is Mariners Tigers. So the folks at Apple get another $10 out of me. So I guess I'll live with it. But
watch those shows. You got those shows to watch.
Yeah, we went over that last week. So yeah, what was it? The Studio? Is that what I'm supposed to be watching?
Studio and
what's the John Hamm one?
Friends and Neighbors.
Okay, check that out. So Tarek Skubal threw a 7 2/3 inning gem, really pointing out the obvious difference between 2 pretty similar teams in a lot of ways. Tigers just have superior front end pitching, front end of the rotation, and honestly a better bullpen. They don't have the same marquee names on the offensive side that the Cubs do, but they put up the runs and they have the critical hits at the critical moments. The series was that even. It was Tigers ended up scoring a total of 8 runs. Cubs had a total of 7 runs, 6 of which were scored on Saturday. But Tigers take game 1 behind that. Tarek Skubal, incredible performance, 7 2/3, 6 strikeouts, 0 walks, of course, because he doesn't walk anybody. Those both teams are similar to each other in that they maximize the running game, and Anytime they have a chance to take an extra 90 feet, they do. The two of the best teams going first to third. Saw that on display multiple times. Both are buttoned up defensively. It's just the Tigers were just slightly better defensively and on the bases. Game one featured an outfield assist from Kerry Carpenter, throwing out Ian Happ at the plate. Bit controversial. It was a close call. The Cubs are challenging that. They were trying to say that Dylan Dingler was blocking the plate, which was not the case. And then they were saying he was safe. He was called out. I think they said the call stands. So it was a close play. I think he was out. I saw a lot of social media backslash with still shots, which are never conclusive because you don't know the time where the ball is, or if he had tagged him earlier in that sequence. So nice try, but it's funny, like viewing this. Typically, I'm viewing every Cubs game from the lens of a Cubs fan, but I definitely was not this weekend. So I'm seeing like Cubs fans just like rolling my eyes, like you're wrong, but I'm sure I've been on the other side of that as well. So,
oh, you sure have.
Game two, I did not really pay super close attention to for a few reasons. I was hosting a garage sale all weekend, so I did rig up a TV out in the garage just expressly to watch the game. Unfortunately, it was another bullpen game, pitching chaos for AJ Hinch, which is not working out nearly as well as it did at the end of last season. Cubs got a lead early, and I was having to talk to neighbors and shoppers. I had like 200 people come through, I think. So it was a successful garage sale, if you were concerned.
I was going to ask you how it went. So now I don't have
great.
I was going to do that post show, but now it's already done.
I got rid of everything. So congratulations to me.
You did? Oh, that's awesome.
I was giving Yeah. Well, I was selling stuff on Friday to like the pros, the professional garage sale pickers that come through. You can tell what they're doing. Just going to turn stuff around for a profit at whatever resale shop. But
yeah,
I was able to charge them. And then day two, I need shit to go. So I put up signs everywhere. Everything is free. Please take it. So
nice.
People were fired up about that. So
I'm familiar with that move from my recent visit to Kansas.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I don't think anyone else gives a fuck about my garage sale success or lack thereof, but that would also the Cubs went up early in that game, so it's kind of easy to tune it out and just know it was not going to happen. One interesting thing from game two I noticed was the Cubs were not happy with the home plate umpire that day, Doug Edding. To which point you could hear him clearly on the microphone, on-field microphones, just giving it back to the Cubs, but in a really weird way. He's like, I know, I'll get better. I don't want to hear it from you. So he's like admitting that he was fucking up. It couldn't have been more clear though. Like normally you don't hear things like just, it was like as you and I talking to each other right now. It was that clear. Him yelling at the Cubs bench, and that they didn't have to bleep it out because unfortunately there was no swear words. So, and they didn't have to take out the mic. I just thought that was hilarious. But the umps were another subject in game three.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Which Tigers dominated 4-0. Jack Flaherty had 9 strikeouts over 6 innings.
Hasn't he kind of owned the Cubs his entire career?
Well, coming from St. Louis, he's been a thorn in their side. So yeah, it was a good matchup for the Tigers. So just another example of how the front end of their rotation is just right now at least superior to the Cubs, and that was on full display. But that day's home plate umpire Derek Thomas found it offensive somehow that Nico Horner just told him he was having a bad day.
I know, that's so fucking weird. Like it's ad nauseum here in Chicago that
I've been listening.
He got ejected, and like it's just like it's like every hour I feel like, because it is funny. It's funny that he looked at him and just said, "I'm having a bad day," and
I think you're having a bad day, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I think you're. So. Yeah, I mean,
I heard Nico talking about. And first of all, if anyone doesn't know, Nico is like the most mild mannered, like quiet guy. He comes on Spiegel and Holmes every week, and he did today, telling more of the story. But he's a highly intelligent, thoughtful person. Does not get very emotional about anything, and even in this case, he was not very emotional. He literally just turned around to Derek Thomas and just said, "I think you're having a really bad day." And I think it was almost like the brutal honesty that just slapped the ump in the face somehow and forced him to decide to eject Nico Horner from the game immediately. And then the other funny parts of that is Craig Counsell comes out immediately, and Nico looks at him right away, and you can see him say, "All I said was he's having a really bad day." And then Craig Counsell eventually got ejected because it was ridiculous for anyone to be ejected for merely saying, "I think you're having a bad day." So there's clearly no profanity. There's no ambiguity about what was said, and it was just not to the level of ejecting any player. So I think I'll just throw this in there. We don't have an asshole of the week, so I think I might as well give Derek Thomas our asshole of the week. Just another example of a thin-skinned umpire,
Right? Yeah.
affecting the game in a negative way when they're not. That's the opposite of what they're supposed to be there for. So I don't know if it's necessarily an ump show. The hashtag ump show coined a few years ago, I think by Keith Law, but just affecting the game on something that just is essentially just he had a bruised ego and threw a tantrum and threw Nico out. So unfortunate. I'm not sure how much it affected the game. I think that was in the 5th inning. Tigers were already up. I think they're up 4-0 at that point. So went on to hold on and win the series 2-1. So a really, really close series. Well played. I think the Tigers just proved they're a little bit better in those in the margins, the base running, defense. There was one other tidbit I thought I was going to bring up.
You also wonder too if they don't have to worry about like these bullpen games if they just sweep the Cubs, which makes the series not be marginally better. It makes it be like dominantly better. Because you take the bullpen game out of it, or who's the other guy that started?
Casey Mize started on Friday.
No. Who's the guy who started in the Sox series that just came back from the?
Sawyer Gibson.
Yeah, I think he's pitching tomorrow or whatever.
I think he might be pitching tonight, actually.
Or tonight. That's right.
Oh no, it is tomorrow. They don't play tonight. You're right. You're totally
tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. So
they're short. The rotation is short right now because Reese Olson's on the IL. Jackson Jobe just went on the IL, so that explains the having to resort to pitching chaos again. But yeah, it would have been interesting if they had their full rotation available.
I mean, I'm not saying this out of like to do a Cubs dig, but I think the level's a little further apart with the Tigers and the Cubs. I think the Tigers are a little more further. They're further ahead than the Cubs. It's not like neck and neck.
Okay.
And the fact that I think the biggest thing, and you pointed it out already, is the bullpen. Like the Cubs bullpen, that's going to ultimately, if there is a downturn at some point in the season for the Cubs, it's going to be because the bats cool down just a little bit. And if that does happen, because it's probably bound to happen at some point, the bullpen is going to cause a lot of hair pulling for those with hair of fans.
Thanks.
Sorry about that. Sorry. I realized during our ACDC show at one point that I was like me and
you're the only haired person there.
Yeah, I was the only person with fucking hair at this whole fucking show in my group. What the fuck?
Well, we can talk about my shit or my hair or my garage sale, but we were clearly digressing. I think you're giving the Cup or the Tigers compliments because you want to pump up how well your White Sox played against my Tigers this past week.
Are they still the best team in baseball? They were the best team in baseball when the Sox split a series with them.
They have been for 2 months and they continue to be. Now, and actually all the power rankings are finally recognizing that, moving the Dodgers or Yankees out of the way. The Tigers are number one, at least on MLB's power rankings. I'm not sure if ESPN moved them, but
took long enough.
Tigers are the best team in baseball, and they lost 2 games to your Chicago White Sox.
Pow!
Yeah,
Pow
you
pow.
got really fired up about that. Meanwhile, you still have the second worst record in all of baseball, despite that. But
Yeah.
congratulations.
Somehow we have the second worst record in all of baseball, but you got to look at the sunny side of things. We're over the halfway point to total wins from last year
Yes. Yes.
at
Another
22.
congratulations. Another
Thank you.
congratulations. So, yeah.
But
Honestly, I think that series, Cubs, it's Sox Tigers series, that could have, it was 2-2, but it could have easily been 3-1 either
either
way.
way, yeah, I
I mean,
agree. I agree. You sent me that text. I agree with you 100%.
those first two games were blowouts on each side, 13-1 Tigers, and then 8-1 White Sox in game two.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
after that, it was anybody's ball game in the remaining two games. And in fact, the fourth game went into extra innings. So really tight series, which was kind of surprising and a bit disconcerting for Tigers fans, especially on Detroit Sports Talk Radio after that series. Going into the Cubs series, there's a little consternation that was erased by their performance over the weekend. So, but yeah, I did want to make sure I got that in there. That I think your Sox looked every bit as good as the Tigers, at least that week. Of course, again, the Tigers are a little bit short in their rotation right now, but that explained a few things. But part of the issue, and we mentioned it during
Yeah.
last week's show, is AJ Hinch kind of made things harder on the Cubs or on his own team and the
Yep.
Tigers, just by pushing Tarek Skubal back a day so he would not pitch in the Sox series. He would pitch game one of the Cubs series. And I called it cocky at the time, just assuming that he could get away with doing a couple more bullpen games. Not 100% bullpen. Game two was a bullpen game. They lost. Game three, with the aforementioned Sawyer Gibson Long, is effectively a bullpen game because this was his first start in 2 years.
Right.
He had only pitched 16 and a third innings in the minors. He had only gone 5 innings on his last minors appearance. So I think I said I would have been happy if he got through 3. I don't even know what he actually, I can't remember what he
I think
actually
it was
got through.
definitely in, I thought it was through 4, but
It was calling upon the bullpen again to get them through right after a full bullpen day. Tigers figured it out, but the real problem came when Casey Mize started on Thursday and couldn't get out. I don't think he got out of the third inning, which further exasperated an already depleted bullpen that led to an extra innings game, which you prevailed. It's got the series split. So yeah, I can whine that the Tigers' rotation is thin and injured right now, but I think AJ kind of fucked himself on that. Kind of got a little bit arrogant, as Bruce Levine called him on his Saturday morning show inside the clubhouse. He thought it was hilarious that the Sox split the series because of AJ's arrogance. So I don't know. I love AJ. I think he's the best manager in baseball. He makes 10 times as many good calls as he does bad. So I was against it. I guess I understand why he pushed School back. I mean, it was a marquee matchup. It was a statement series. It's kind of changed or cemented at least the outlook of what we believe the Tigers are. So I think it's hard to say. It was in a more important game than game 4 of a 4-game series against the White Sox, but every game counts. So I don't know. Were you insulted? I don't remember how we decided that was going to work out. But
I never. I mean, honestly, if I was AJ Hinch, I would have done the same exact thing because you want to see how your number one guy, like it was different last year because you guys turned it on at the end, but they didn't have to deal with that pressure through the whole season.
Right.
Now he's going to take Skubal and he's going to put him in a pressure cooker situation, saying, "I'm not going to play you against the team that's 22 games under 500 right now. I'm going to play you against a team that could very well be, as you pointed out, a World Series foe. They're definitely a playoff team."
Well, and it was a playoff atmosphere for sure, with the whole series sold out, standing room only. Lots of Cubs fans made the trip as well, so it felt like a playoff game, and it was played like a playoff game too. It was that's a really good point by you. Like that's like a primer almost, like getting them ready early for a playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, there's no reason not to do it. I mean, honestly, you're on the road in Chicago. I mean, I know the Sox are obviously they're much better, which the bar is so fucking low to
Yeah.
say that. It doesn't mean all that much, but at the same time, a series split against a division foe is not a bad thing. It's not an unheard of thing of playing some awful teams sometimes. It's like you go to the ballpark and you go on the road and you split a series. But and I get what you're saying, all the games count the same, but I also think Tigers fans feel a lot better about a series win over the Cubs than a series loss over the Cubs and a series win over the White Sox.
That's a great point too. I'm just thinking about that. Yeah, if we won the Sox series 3-1, but lost 2-1 to the Cubs, I'd have a very different feeling today. Which, I mean, that's kind of the silly nature of of baseball analysis in general. But I like it. I like how it worked out, but it wasn't certainly ideal, and it almost worked out. Considering Game 4 was an extra inning games, it could have worked out in the Tigers' favor, and then AJ would look like the genius that I think he is. But
we poured it on, and that was it.
That's right. You said while I was sending you complimentary texts, you were sending me like some gif of a guy punching me in the face, saying I'm knocked out.
Days earlier. That was. Wasn't it? Or was it that game? I don't even know.
I got a lot of violent texts from you.
I know. I'm a Sox fan. That's what we do. We run it. We beat up umpires.
You've never done violent stuff before.
We beat up umpires. I mean.
I've seen that, but
I was just doing it as a joke, like a knockout thing. Jesus, calm down, man. I wasn't promoting violence. I was just like knockout.
Felt very violent.
Oh. Okay, well, calm down over there.
I'm sensitive to violence.
I'm not going to punch you or anything. Don't worry about it.
Good thing we're 250 miles apart.
But speaking of the White Sox, I mean, I feel like things are finally getting back to normal. Because they had a winning record against AL Central teams this weekend at home, 4-3.
Boy.
And what was the phrase you just used? Like how silly like baseball is, like
baseball analysis.
Yeah, like just the Cubs. If the Cubs had won 2-1,
prisoner of the moment is what it comes down to. But
so I'm going to be really silly here because this is going to be a whole prisoner of the moment segment. This could be a new segment, prisoner of the moment.
I like that.
The Sox.
Bro, I'll do some like siren, like yard siren sound effects.
Maybe some war pigs in the background or something.
Oh yeah, I like that. Maybe some Shawshank Redemption quotes.
But I'm a prisoner of the moment right now. When the Sox start beating their division again, I feel like things are slowly trending back to the norm. 4-3 against AL Central over this homestand. They already doubled their win total of the Royals last year by winning 2 games. They only beat the Royals once last year. Woo!
That's huge. That's huge, though, to get that monkey off your back. At least, like
we're 100% better than we were last year. But all of that aside, we've talked about it throughout the year so far. Like the Sox just have a different vibe. It's like the baseball IQ has gone up on the team, like tremendously.
That's clearly evident. Just watching them over like 2 innings, you can see that they're not as stupid or lazy or whatever the issues were last year. That they look, even though they're not winning at a large clip, they look like a competent baseball team.
You don't think a 333 winning percentage is a large clip? Well, compared to 231, it is.
Yeah. Jesus.
It's all pointed up.
I mean, a lot of that is a talent deficit that you'll be closing eventually and pretty quickly. But the stupidity and the bad base running, missing the cutoff man, I feel like those things are far less obvious or happening far less than they were last year.
Yeah, which is 100% proof that it was coaching. It was manager and coaches and
culture, all that, which comes out of the coaches.
Yeah, it just feels so different, and it's so nice. I hate to keep repeating myself, but it's so nice to be ready to sit down and watch a White Sox game and not be like, oh, the Sox are on. I'm not, it's just so different now. But like part of the reason the Sox are doing well is they're getting like some really great numbers out of the rookies and guys they've gotten in these trades they've done. Like like probably performing better than anticipated. And I think my boy who I met at my little Sox benefit I went to beyond the diamond, Chase Meirdroth, he had a fucking series against the Tigers.
Yeah,
he had
did.
a 14-15 OPS.
He was like on base every time. I don't know if he ever was not on base in that series. It was crazy.
Yeah, at one point, my Tauntina Smitty was updating his batting average against the Tigers throughout the series. But
yeah, it was like 6 for 9 at one point, or I forget the one you sent me. But yeah, it was ridiculous.
But even I don't know. I find this stat like pretty awesome about him this year. He's played in 43 games, and what I mean, he's come in a couple games where he's filled in late for defensive replacements or a base runner, but hasn't had a plate appearance. But in the 41 games he's had a plate appearance, he has safely reached base 35 of those 41 games. So he's only, to start off his career with the White Sox, only when he's had an at bat, not been on base 6 times. To me, that's fucking crazy.
Wow.
And that's why I wasn't sure where I was going to settle out at, but he has a 1.6 WAR already, like in 43 fucking games. I mean, like he's solid defensively, like, and he's considered like the third or fourth piece of that Boston trade.
Yeah.
So
well, and Kyle Teal got called up this weekend. Wasn't he the main piece of that?
Yeah, he's one of the main pieces of that, and you know, I'm not going to talk Kyle Teal yet because it's too small of a sample size. So,
well, I know, but you're already seeing more hope out of a Chris Getz trade than you saw
out of I know.
Rickon, so yeah,
it's the Wrath of Han. Right. By the way, folks, we have nothing. We do not need to talk about Rick Hahn at all this week. He was he's not anywhere to be found this week.
I just posted our segment about that this morning on YouTube, though, so I was thinking about Rick Hahn, even though that was from last week.
He's always on your mind, isn't he?
I will never stop thinking of Rick Hahn.
You can't quit him.
I can't quit you. God!
Some other awesome numbers to point out, and this is with our starting pitching, which is so much better than last year. Shane Smith, 2.45 ERA, 1.13 WHIP, 60 Ks and 62 in the third innings.
He was great against the Tigers.
1.7 WAR. I mean, this guy's legit. He was a Rule 5 pickup from you'll love this, the Brewers.
Nice.
So
fuck them.
Helping the Cubs out there picking that
good
up.
Work.
And Davis Martin too has been pretty solid. He had a good outing this week too, but his numbers this year: 3.62 ERA, 1.205 WHIP, 48 Ks, 1.3 WAR. So, like those are you got Edgar Cuero. He's got a high batting average. He's got a crazy BABIP. That's why I didn't include him on this. But all of the like young guys they brought up pretty much so far have probably performed slightly better than anticipated at this stage of their career. And that's probably the biggest difference from what we saw last time. So far they've been on the field. So it's probably the biggest difference.
That's big.
But let's get to some fucking funny stats. And these are just fucking ridiculous comparisons. I thought this would be fun. Just ridiculous comparisons to last year's team because it's just so bad. It makes everything seem that much better. First example is the Sox currently, as I pointed out, have a .333 winning percentage, which puts them on a rapid pace of 54 wins this year. So that is 13 wins better than last year. But I actually think that is going to go above 54. This is my prediction. And here's why. Sox have gone 13-28 against teams above 500 so far, which doesn't sound that great, but considering they only won last year. Last year, they only won 21 total games against teams above 500. So they're only 8 games away from hitting that mark. Their run differential at this point last season compared to this season is 60% better. They
Okay.
only have a negative 51 run differential. So this is when I use run differential in my favor.
You love run differential when it works in your favor.
When it works in my favor, I will use it, and I'm using it now.
Okay. I'll remember this.
Yes, I did it before you could say it to me.
I know.
Because you were already loading up.
Well done. Yes.
And I cut you off, you son
well
of a
done.
bitch.
Self-awareness is always a good quality. So nice.
All right. Two more quick stats, and then we can move on. Starting pitchers ERA this season is 3.9. We're talking about a 4.62 at this point last year. That is significant.
Yeah, that's big.
I mean, that's an earned run average. So you're talking about a lot of run savings there.
Yeah.
And then this will not be a surprising stat. I thought it would be a little bit higher, but the Sox, with some coaches actually coaching and switching up how hitters are gripping the bat and how they're using their swing. We've hit 52 homers this year, which that was our biggest flaw last year. Is we could never hit that key. The biggest thing you need home runs to change the game or to get back in a game. But we've already hit 52 home runs this year, which is already 40% of the total home runs that they hit last year. So like everything, again, the bar is so low.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean that, I thought Will Venable was a good choice, and I thought the coaches he picked were like,
it made sense on paper, but you didn't know how it was really going to translate.
Right. I said I'm going to give Pedro Grifol a chance, and that lasted about fucking 2 weeks. But Will Venable is like, it's baseball IQ is what's happening with the White Sox right now.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I think like some of it is Chris Getz too. And there's like a working relationship there that probably hasn't existed since Ozzy with like Kenny and Rick. So, hopefully
careful with that though.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully it's a little
spectacular fashion.
Yeah, hopefully it's more glorious than that, like one World Series and then a bunch of animosity and anger. But I mean,
a lot of entertainment though.
A lot of entertainment, yeah.
Always entertaining.
But like honestly, like just real quick, the KC series. I'm sure you didn't watch any of it.
I did actually. I watched quite a bit. Yeah.
Did you watch the end of the game? I mean, if the bullpen doesn't let up that 2-run homer to Bobby Witt, the Sox scored. That was the key hit of the game. Like the Sox came back in the bottom of the ninth and it ended 7-5. They were a Tim Elko. They had bases loaded at that point. They were a Tim Elko base hit away from winning that fucking game. So like it's
this just
fun.
in. Bobby Witt is good, by the way. So
what?
Don't feel bad about that.
Is he?
Yeah. Yeah, I did end up watching quite a bit of the KC series just because it's quality baseball now. It's visibly different. It's not as embarrassing as it was and frustrating, I'm sure, for you to watch for those years. So
yeah, actually turning double plays. It's wild.
Yeah, I like your pitching. I think your pitching really showed its shit against the Tigers, at least last week. I think you need to see that play out over a longer span, but
true.
We'll see. Yeah, I think, like I mentioned, I think the talent deficit is shrinking a bit, but that's still going to be an issue going forward. But one thing that could solve that would be a capital infusion that may or may not be coming soon. We want to transition over to the SOXcession plan, as I've coined it.
Yes.
The Sox made it official. Things we were speculating or were written about in the media back in March. Sox confirmed that Justin Ishbia indeed will be first in line to take over the White Sox as soon as 2029 or as late as 2034. The timeline confuses me. I don't know if you know more about those details, but I didn't fully understand what that's all about. Of course, Jerry will retain control as long as he is alive and wants to, or is capable of running the White Sox. I think that's what this cements. But the big news out of the announcement is that they can now expect a capital infusion was the quote to the ball club and potentially for a new stadium from multi-billionaire owner, now minority owner, eventually majority stakeholder Justin Ishbia. So I think that's positive news. I don't know if you had we've talked about it, but it just seems like it's real, I guess, is the difference, that the White Sox are actually talking about it.
Yeah, I think the part of it that's exciting, like the timeline's whatever. The dude's fucking old as fuck. I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
it
I
could
mean, he
be
could have a
20, it
stroke
could be
tomorrow.
2027. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah. So like
I
what
mean,
else?
we could all have a stroke tomorrow, I guess I
Yeah,
should say.
yeah,
But
right. But like all that being said, I think the most exciting part is what you just said, and it's capital infusion. And capital infusion means that if Ishba's injecting his money into this organization, then he's also going to have a say on what the organization is doing. Now, Jerry may be the one who is the face, who's saying we're going to.
he's always going to get final say. But
Yeah,
at
but
some point, if with somebody with throwing more cash than he is, or whatever, however
yeah,
this arrangement works
exactly.
out, that feels like a kind of a Wizard of Oz type thing. Like Ishbia might be the one that's really pulling the strings, and Jerry's just kind of the puppet out there. But
The question is now with this happening is we had a conversation last week that was it the 70 was it the 78 was off the
78.
was off the table. Is the 78 back on the table now with
Well,
Ishbia injecting money? I mean,
that's what's really curious about the timing of this announcement. As we were talking just last week, that the Sox apparently lost out on that piece of prime, undeveloped Chicago South Loop real estate, the 78, lost out to a fucking soccer team, as the Chicago Fire announced that they were going to build their own stadium out there with their own money, $650 million. Um, without any taxpayer assistance, and everyone was fired up about that. Oh God, I didn't even mean to do that. This is like 2 weeks in a row, and I'm just doing horrible puns by total accident. Sorry about that.
yeah, I'm sure it's accident, everybody. It's a total
I really
accident.
didn't mean to, but
I saw him looking at his notes.
I remember 2 years or a year and a half ago, whenever we first started talking about the 78 being a potential landing spot for a new White Sox stadium, the concern at that point was that, is that piece of land even big enough for a Sox Park to go? Sox Park 3.0. It was a very limited space because it is right in the middle of the city. It's got a river to the west. It's got railroad infrastructure to the east, and it's bound by the city, north and south. So that seemed, at the time, I remember it seemed like, oh, there's not going to be much space there. And now it sounds like there could not only be enough room for a soccer stadium, that is going to happen potentially, I guess, but there's room for both now. So I'm confused by all that, like how much land is really there. I've been by that space many times. It's nothing to look at now. It's undeveloped, but I never paid attention to the dimensions, but it doesn't seem like a huge amount of space. And
Well, I just want
go
to
ahead.
say I'm going to go out tomorrow. I'm going to take the red line to Roosevelt, walk down with my tape measure, and I'll get you the exact dimensions tomorrow.
Please
Okay.
do so. Yes. If the weather's nice, why not? Do some field reporting there.
Yes. Yeah. I'll get on the boots on the ground.
But I just found it, like, all of a sudden we hear this announcement, then like within days, all of a sudden what we were talking about back in March becomes real news as the Sox decide to make this announcement. So I think that is there's a direct correlation between the Fire's announcement and this White Sox announcement. And I think it has everything to do with the 78, as every party involved has said, yes, suddenly there is plenty of room for both stadiums on this plot of land. So I also think what that means is there is zero room for parking,
Right.
which is going to be a big culture change for White Sox fans if that is the case, because you have numerous massive parking lots surrounding Sox Park to this day, where tailgating is a fun thing to do, or it's just not. It's going to be more like Wrigley, where you take public transportation to get to the stadium, and go right in instead of hanging out outside. But I don't know.
I've already solved it though. You got an abandoned stadium. You just park at the old stadium and hop on the red line.
Yeah, and have like a shuttle, or you could
Yeah.
have the red line or have shuttle
Yeah.
buses going. Okay.
Yeah. See, it's already solved. Problem solved there.
Everything on the south side is so simple. I mean,
It's so simple. We have room.
but isn't it? How many blocks? We figured this out back in March. How many
It's
blocks?
not even that. It's not really that
20
far.
blocks?
Yeah, it's not that far.
Okay.
But it is interesting. I agree with you. I think they're like, fuck, we gotta get our name back on the docket for the 78 space. But and it's not surprising, and here's why. I remember when we first talked about it, and the original story that was published was that he was not going to ask for money. I don't know if you remember this, but if you go back and listen to our podcast, he was not going to ask for money, and it was going to be a privately funded stadium. And we were like, holy shit. He finally realized, he saw Ricketts, he knows what he has to do to get it done. And then like a couple weeks later, it was like, he's going down to Springfield to ask for fucking money.
I need $1 billion. I remember making the headline saying he was asking for $1 billion. So
yeah.
I guess we'll learn more as time goes on. But yeah, one thing might be true today that is completely false tomorrow.
But he might have his $1 billion he needs from Ishbia and then some. So
and that's where it becomes far more plausible that this could actually happen when you make this announcement that Justin Ishbia is going to be involved and is going to be infusing cash or capital into the organization. They weren't specific about that, but I don't think you're buying any big name, giant name free agents necessarily next year. I think it would make more sense if that capital infusion was into real estate and into your stadiums. I think that there's speculation that capital infusion can mean many things, but I think it's quite clear it could be for that stadium, which suddenly makes sense for at least the people of Illinois to accept, because you're not asking for a handout like Jerry has for all these years. So
yeah. It's
just funny how the story has changed so many times, and especially in this last week, like how quickly things have changed. So, like I said, you White Sox are eternally entertaining. There's always something going on one way or the other.
But the good news is we're finally, for me anyway, the good news for me is we're finally entertaining on the positive side of things. We're trending up.
Yeah.
It's not this inner, and hopefully if we do build a new stadium, we don't give the naming rights to someone with an arrow pointing down.
Yeah.
All right.
I think rate will be involved somehow, as they had to change their name from guaranteed rate to rate. I think there's
for legal reasons.
Yeah. I think there's still an arrow pointing down in their logo, but maybe that'll be adjusted by the time this all comes to fruition. But
maybe.
Well, again, I mean, everyone was giddy back a year and a half ago when the first idea that they could move to the 78, when the renderings came out, because it would be fucking awesome to have that so accessible in the South Loop, right smack dab in the middle of the city with that skyline. If they build it in the right fucking direction this time, as a backdrop, it would be massive. And I think it'd be pretty cool if they can fit it all to have it be a giant sports complex with both soccer and baseball there, and see what else gets developed around there. But I think it'd be incredible.
I think what you do is like you put the soccer stadium there and the baseball stadium and then a Smoke Daddy and an small Cheval and
Wrigleyville South.
Yeah. And then the taco joint, you just got it all. It's already, the blueprint's already there.
Big Star. Yeah.
Big Star.
Right there.
I can never remember Big Star. It's like down the block from me, but
it's right there. What the fuck?
It's right fucking there. It's probably the margaritas right now. I can't remember.
So you probably had margaritas at Big Star a few times.
Oh, that's where I learned how to make the spicy margarita. Was courtesy of Big Star and what they used in it. I have all the ingredients here at home.
Oh wow!
But we're not going to talk about that.
We've already digressed into garage sales, my shitting scheme or routine.
Well, we better
we need to get him.
I better move through the Giants pretty quickly then.
Your giant shit?
So you can take your giant shit.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I'm doing pretty well, so I think we'll be all right.
All right. Well,
just keep people posted.
I just want to say, I want to be totally dorky here, but how sweep it is because the Giants just swept the Braves.
Hey-o!
Winning it. But wait, how did they win every game? Can you guess how they won every game?
By one run? Were they walk-offs?
Yes, by one run. That's right. They won every game by one run. This team has a .571 winning percentage in one-run games this year.
Wow, that's not sustainable. I'm going to go out on a limb here.
16 of their 38 wins are by one run. That's 40% of their wins so far have been one run. They get exactly what they need.
I remember we talked about that in the first couple of weeks of the season, how they were walking off everybody. I was like, walk-offs are a huge percentage of their wins.
But this sweep isn't just a sweep. It's part of a 5-game winning streak they're on right now that included 2 wins in another. My teams at the beginning of the week, it was all about series splits against their nemesis. They split against the Padres to start off the week, which was big for me because that's my measuring stick. Like, how are they performing against the Padres and the Dodgers? And they have now worked themselves back in the pack to where they're 1 game out in second place, tied with the Padres in that division. I mean, I feel like this season for me with the Giants is going to be a roller coaster of emotion. It's going to be up and down, and you still got the Diamondbacks there.
Diamondbacks are a disaster, though. They're below 500, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're
still good, but
10-game winning streak away from being back in this thing. But
I feel like the Dodgers have underperformed. They've gone through a lot of injuries. But I mean, to have the Cubs and the Mets ahead of the Dodgers in the National League is nothing that we would have expected. And the Padres are pretty much what I thought they would be. So yeah, I think that's probably the right barometer to see how you are against the Padres.
Yeah, what's even crazier is all those Padres games, the 4-game series were decided by 1 run.
Yeah, that's good Lord. Those are going to be entertaining games. That keeps happening.
I mean, it's a lot on my heart. And I mean,
we are getting older. We need to,
from a cardiovascular standpoint. Thank God I do strength training, but they are what I think, whenever a common phrase in baseball over the years, or nicknames, I should say, for teams that win by small margins or come from behind wins are the cardiac kids, is what they say a lot. That's an old cliche term. And I'm telling you what, cardiac is 100% accurate. And I don't know about kids on this team, but cardiac is 100% accurate. But
it's got to be tough for you, being all jacked up for these games, late at night. I mean, it's midnight, or what time is it there? Usually when Giants games end up.
About midnight, yeah. Yeah. I mean, thank God for the pitch clock, though, because back in the day, Oakland, watching any West Coast game, they begin over 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30. Pitch clock. Thanks. God bless you, pitch clock.
Yeah, thank you.
And God bless rule changes in baseball, right, Smitty?
Yeah, that was an excellent professional segue right there, as I almost forgot. I should have added this tidbit when we were talking about the umpires earlier in the Tigers-Cubs series. But one rule change that we will be seeing apparently is the automatic ball strikes challenge system will be officially implemented by Major League Baseball in 2026, which I am fired up for. You and I talked about it, and it was a huge topic in spring training this year as they tested it out, a system that they had been using in the minors for the last few years. Where you can challenge a ball or strike call. I didn't see, and maybe they haven't fully fleshed this out. It's going to be the exact same system we had in spring training, where only the pitcher, batter, or catcher can challenge a particular call, and if you miss your challenge, you don't get to challenge for the rest of the game, I believe is how it works. I haven't seen if they're going to carry on those rules, or if I got that wrong, or
it's slightly different. They get 2 challenges per game.
It is 2. Okay.
It is 2, but if you win it, I'm going to tell you, I've seen some games this year, and I want to say this because you and I both know this, that what we're seeing on the TV with their pitch zone may not be accurate.
Yep.
But if we take, I'm just going to take it at what it is. Let's just say that's accurate.
Yeah.
It is going to severely tax the game, I think.
Well, it
from
did
a
not.
Time standpoint.
Well, you and I, we experienced it in the spring, and we liked it because it took less than 10 seconds for the challenge to be either upheld or reversed. Because they're just literally just an earpiece for the home plate umpire just tells him immediately if it's a ball or a strike, if he got it wrong or not. So that part of it was very simple. But I think what we are going to get frustrated by is the calibration of that strike zone, what we're seeing on TV versus what they're really measuring. And that was the big thing that you and I talked about, and it was a big topic then. It was the how it was confusing how it was being judged. East-west is no big deal. The sides of the plate is easy, but it's the height and the depth and the top, the bottom and the top of the zone, how that's defined. And it was defined. It's like an average of the last 100 at bats. But it's like, whose at bats are we talking about? Because obviously the strike zone has to be different for Jose Altuve versus Aaron Judge. So I didn't fully understand how that worked out. So I think the calibration of that, hopefully they can work it out with all the different various TV carriers that they're going to show us whatever that zone is that they're using is going to be what we're seeing on TV as well. Right now it is not, because everybody just makes up their own K zone or whatever they're branding it. They're all close, but if we're doing this, to the point where it is indeed affecting the game, and that's how the game is going to be adjudicated, we need to see it on TV the first time. We can't see something completely different live, and then they show us something totally, with a totally different zone and how they're calling a ball and a strike. So the other part that's kind of sad is we wouldn't have just done that whole segment on the Cubs Tigers series talking about the umpires, because it would have just been challenged. Nico Horner wouldn't have had to tell Derek Thomas that he was having a really bad day, because he would just say, I want to challenge this, and they would have gotten it right there. So that's kind of going to be a lost moment to history, but it's definitely for the better. I think it's going to there's going to be some bumps in the road. I think, but I really believe at least the technology, the communication part of it is not going to be an issue, because it was quick this spring. And I thought that really gave me hope that it was going to work. I'm a little surprised they made this decision this quickly. I thought maybe they do a couple spring trainings to test it out. But of course you had like managers like, I believe it was Craig Counsell. It was like, don't challenge anything because we're not going to be using this in the season. So this isn't going to help us get ready for the season. It's only helping Major League Baseball test out a potential new rule. So fuck you, which I thought was hilarious. So maybe they realize like fewer managers are going to even allow it to happen next spring anyway. So just jump in with both feet.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember which game it was in the Sox Detroit series, but there was someone who was behind the plate was just terrible for both sides. And I was playing in my head, like, if what we were seeing was accurate with what their pitch zone was.
That's
I'm more talking about this is more about outside pitches being called strikes. So this probably was pretty accurate.
Okay. Yeah, that should never be an issue.
Yeah.
That's easy for a computer or whatever to define.
Yeah, it's where it's crossing the plate at regards to the height of it.
Yeah.
And there were pitches consistently being called for both sides, like easily over an inch off the outside of the plate. Well, I'm just picturing this in my head, because a lot of the batters on both sides were like, what, like, really? Yeah. Like those could be like boom, a challenge, boom, challenge. And what does it look like? Because if you don't lose your challenges every time you're right, what's that look like if 60, I don't think this will ever happen. I'm going to go extreme, but let's just say, like, what's it look like 25 calls get reviewed?
Well, I think what should happen, at least maybe this is Pollyannish, but I think like if an umpire would be learning in real time that his zone was fucked up and would adjust. He could adjust on the fly, seeing, oh, if he got 3 challenges that got overturned or his call got
True.
overturned because he's an inch off, he'll move his strike zone back in. So maybe it's like an electric prod or something, to teach him, move your fucking zone in. We're telling you over and over again. I don't think that could happen 25 times. I think you'd figure it out.
Well, you think they
Maybe.
would, but like, I know, I agree. I never thought of that point of view because of how stubborn umpires are.
Yeah.
When it
Well,
comes
if
to
they're
things,
consistently getting kicked in the ass, like you are fucking this up. Stop
I mean,
it. I think, and being embarrassed by it
yeah,
might be a natural deterrent.
even little league umpires, because I have
Oh
a quick
God.
story here. Yesterday, Charlie got ejected.
Oh
Um,
no. Did he
I,
tell the ump he was having a really bad day?
Well, he should have, because I'm running what's called Game Changer. That's how you track the stats and what's going on in the game. So you
Okay.
like parents who aren't at the games or family members can track the game and see
That's
what's
cool.
going on. And I'm running Game Changer. There's 2 of us who do it, and it was ball 4. And Charlie starts walking to the base, and I click ball 4, and the ump's like, "Where are you going?"
He thought it was only ball 3 because he got the
thought it
count
was
wrong.
ball 3 because he wasn't hitting he must have missed one of the clicks on the clicker.
Oh my God.
And I said, I'm like, I go, it's ball 4. It's right here. It's ball 4. He's like, doesn't matter what you have. It matters what I have.
Oh, wow. The ego. Well, you're also his father, but
But Charlie
Yikes.
had the pitch count in his head.
Yeah,
He started running to the base. He didn't
Yeah.
wait for the ump to say anything. He started running because he knew it was ball 4.
Right.
So then the opposing bench, because they're like, well, this is an opportunity. They're like, no, it's ball 3. I'm like, fuck you, fucking pieces of shit. So then Charlie goes up, and the same pitch he just took as a ball, he's so pissed off, he swings and misses. And when he strikes out, some obscenities drop.
Oh boy, that's ejected.
And that's it. He's out of the game. But
this is a teaching moment.
Yes, and I explained it to him. His coaches explained it to him. And
gotta roll with the punches.
Then, but kids are sometimes a product of their environment, Smitty. and then his dad got talked to again because he was standing so close to the umpire, and his dad even knew it. And I'm talking about myself in the third person.
No.
That he was like talking to the coaches. I was talking to the coaches, and I was like, "Oh, it was ball 4, 100%. Like, there's no way it wasn't." And he goes, I can hear you. Like, no worries here. Got it. Sorry.
Do Little League games get that contentious, or was that kind of out of the norm, or is that kind of shit happen a lot?
Charlie had another incident.
Oh no.
2 games ago. And again, he was catching because we were playing a scrimmage game. So he was catching. They had him catch because they let him play out of position. Sure. But he was pretty good. He was pretty good at it. And our pitcher threw a fucking perfect fucking pitch, and the ump called it a ball, and Charlie just kept his glove right there.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Then didn't say anything, kept his glove right there. And the ump gets up and walks around and literally, like, almost like Billy Martin umpire thing, is like right up against Charlie and is like,
oh no.
I'm just going to tell you, you do not frame, you don't frame the pitch that long. Well, I make the call, then it exits the glove and goes back to the pitcher, like all fucking aggressive. I'm like, because the parents, 2 of the moms are talking to me, and they're like, we were ready to fucking jump out of our seats.
Whoa. Legui family over there.
I know, right? So like,
yikes.
The umpire situation, it's not just at the major league level.
It's a thankless job, especially at the little league level. You gotta feel for that. I don't know why anyone would choose to be an umpire or a referee in any kind of low level sports, because you got parents yelling at them, coaches yelling at them, getting paid $5 a game, whatever they make. It's a thankless job, but I could see how you could be very frustrated with that for sure. I think with that, unless you had any more of the Little League stories.
No, I just thought it was a perfect, along with his ump. We needed RoboUmp to let him know that it was ball 4, and then it was ball 5, but Charlie was so angry, he swung through ball 5, so.
Well, I think with that teachable moment, we will conclude this episode 169. I gotta go watch the Cubs. They're up 1-0 on the Phillies already. Phillies are. I think they're in a tailspin. I think they've lost 5 games in a row or something. Which is,
I'm sure Schwarber will hit a walk-off homer.
Yeah,
or something.
For sure. But the whole NL East is in a tailspin. Besides the Mets, which is odd. They're definitely due for their dramatic swoon. But anyway, I think with that we'll wrap this episode up. You can find us on social media at MajorLeagueAholes.com or at Major League A-Holes. You can find Pete at Sox Type Thing on X. You can find us on YouTube at Major League A-Holes. You can find us on the web at MajorLeagueAholes.com. And you can find this podcast anywhere you'd like to find a podcast. So with that, I'm going to declare this podcast is over. Peace.
Peace.
Wordhole Media.